It's a quiet day here at High Point Solution Stadium. Quite the contrary in the Rutgers football offices. The fax machines are buzzing, phone calls are being made, maybe even a little sweat on the brow. A new day of college football is upon us. It's early signing day, and you are watching the Rutgers Early Signing Day football special driven by Nissan. Hi everybody, I'm Mike Quick. Part 1 is in the books. 18 young men have signed their name to become Scarlet Knights from 6 different states and Australia. During this show, you'll get Chris Ash's thoughts on this new day of college football, the early signing period, and what he thinks about this class. His assistant coaches will join us who know these young men so well. Oh yeah, it's a big day on the banks of the Raritan. And when we come back, you'll meet the new men of Rutgers.
Looking, fires, caught, touchdown, Janarian Grant, and the Scarlet Knights march it right down the field on their opening drive and put up big 6 points on the board against 8th-ranked Washington.
Welcome back to the Rutgers Early Signing Day special driven by Nissan. I'm Mike Quick, joined by, well, let's say the bloodline of Rutgers football. Without this cat, there is no signing day. Adam Kalahari, director of Rutgers Football Recruiting. How are you, buddy?
Good. Thanks for having us on, man.
You didn't sleep last night, did you?
Not much. Not much. Wife's out of town, but not much sleep in preparation.
Did you make her leave purposely?
Yeah, purposely. We usually send her off earlier so I can get rolling into the signing day prep.
Well, you mean having your wife go on is one thing, but getting these kids here is another thing.
Definitely.
Happy with the returns?
Yeah, we're really excited about the class. You know, obviously this is our first class where we've got to have 2 full years of getting to know these kids. You know, when we got here, these guys were sophomores, you know, finishing up their last semester, their sophomore year, so we got to spend a lot of time, you know, developing relationships, evaluating them on the field, off the field. So we've gotten, you know, a full 2 years. This is our first class where, you know, you get to kind of, the full process really gets to play out with this group.
I've always thought when it comes to recruiting, there's traditional recruiting and then there's babysit recruiting. And the babysit recruiting I always thought is the toughest when you get that early verbal commitment. Yeah. Because guys don't back off. A kid verbally commits to Rutgers. Yeah. You know, other schools aren't backing off. A kid verbally commits somewhere else. Rutgers isn't backing off. How hard is it to keep that verbal commit engaged till he signs?
It's hard, but Coach Ash, he preaches that even, you know, with verbal commit, so many kids are verbal commit, but they're still going through the process with other schools that we're treating every single kid like he's an uncommitted prospect. So on paper, if you look online, yes, he's a commit and all that, and he gives you the ranking, all those, but we're treating them, you know, from everything we do with evaluating them on the field, evaluating what he's doing in the classroom, and then the actual recruitment process of what we're sending the kid, how we're communicating with him, we treat it like he's an uncommitted prospect.
Who was the first one you got this morning? What fax was the first one?
Well, the first one we got last night. We got the Australian, the punter last night.
Okay, nice.
So Adam Korzak came in late last night, you know, so the time difference, you know, so his was well ahead of everybody else's.
He's an interesting dude. Reading his bio, cricket, golf, football, worked out with a lot of NFL guys. He's
extremely talented. He's the kind of guy, I mean, he's a scratch golfer, so he's extremely talented and gifted. He's the kind of guy, just anything he picks up, he's able to excel at it, you know, so we're excited about getting him in the fold.
So the recruiting period goes dead now for a couple days through the Christmas holiday. And this is the intriguing part of this new day of college football. You know, back then you start working on all the other kids, like the sophomores, the juniors. Now you still work on the seniors. How difficult will that be?
I think we had so many guys sign early. You know, this being the first year, you don't know really how everyone's going to, you know, play it, you know, how many guys everyone's going to sign and how many we sign. But we signed a majority of our class, you know, 90% of our class was signed today. So we're going to go into January and only 4 or 5 guys we need to go really attack. So we're going to be able to send 10 coaches into, these are the 5 guys we want, and really, you know, team recruit those last 4 or 5 spots, you know, make sure we finish strong.
It's a true chess match now. This changes the dynamic because if you have guys leave early, it changes who you bring in. Do you bring in the traditional high school kid? Do you look for the 5th-year guy? This complicates college football recruiting.
Yeah, and because we're all going through it for the first time, it's going to kind of, you know, you play it by ear a little bit, so we're going to kind of see how these next, you know, few weeks play out and kind of actually who signed at other schools. That's, you know, my guys are in the office right now who signed at other schools, so we really know who we can even attack in January to sign in February.
A year ago in February when you got the class, did you ever envision 14 of those young men would get on the field as true freshmen?
You never envision it. You know, you're not planning on that to happen, but we look at it, you know, we recruit that we want guys to build the depth, you know, and kind of be guys that can come play early because we need to, you know, create depth at every position. So, you know, we didn't know it was going to be 14, but we're excited, and we knew that they had those capabilities going into the season that a lot of young guys could be in the mix early.
You get those 3 Big Ten wins, big, especially for somebody like you, because you're in charge of recruiting. How much buzz did that create and help you?
We're always selling, you know, we got to sell something, you know, we got the relationship side of the recruiting process, and then you got the selling, and we got to be able to sell, you know, winning tradition, we got to be able to sell facilities, we got to be able to sell all these different things, and when you can go from 0 Big Ten wins in year 1 and then 3 in year 2, it definitely creates an excitement that we're here to stay.
You mentioned facilities, and I'll end you on this question. When they dedicated the new practice facilities to Marco Battaglia, the best player ever to play here, when you've brought kids, their parents, and their coaches in here to One Scarlet Way, has that across the street changed the dynamic of your recruiting?
Anytime you have one of the best facilities in the country, and we believe that we have the best practice complex in the country, it really sells to the guys that there's people, boosters, the athletic director, that they're all in to build this program, not just, you know, on the football field, things that surround our student athletes.
So you got a lot of Christmas presents today.
Yeah, got a lot of Christmas presents, and we're excited about it, and I'm going to go home, and we're going to sleep a little bit, and then we're going to regroup, and then we're going to go finish strong in January and February.
I wish you all the best, buddy.
Thanks.
Great to see you.
Well,
absolutely.
Nice to see you.
All right.
See if Neiman, the defensive coordinator, and Chris Ash bring a little pressure and try to heat up Jake Browning here early in this game.
3rd and 6 at the 40. Trips at the bottom of your screen. Browning under pressure. Set. Loose. And Washington recovers it at the 25. But Darnell Davis shot out of a cannon.
Assistant defensive coordinator and safeties coach, you recruit New York City, and before you came on, we just talked about it. New York City is an intriguing place where Rutgers has done very well.
You know, I just got blessed to have the chance to recruit New York City. I mean, I love going in there. You know, it's one of those situations where you got to bust out early to get across a bridge or through a tunnel. But man, there's a lot of really good players there, and I feel that you have a chance to maybe outwork people in that area. And it's just and also. New York City is Rutgers, and they understand that. There's a great connection there with the city, with this university, and so we're just really excited to be in there. And we get great reception. We go in there from those coaches and from those players.
Coach, I saw you everywhere during all the championship games. I saw you at Yankee Stadium. I saw you at MetLife. I saw you at Kane. You're buzzing around, doing the job. Let's talk about some of the guys now that through all that hard work you got to come here to Rutgers University. Let's begin in Erasmus Hall. Kasson Abraham, defensive back, 5'10", 170 pounds, played for Danny Lamberg, who continues to pump out Division I recruits over there in Brooklyn for Erasmus Hall. What do you like? What I like, I'll just give you this. Yeah. I love how aggressive he plays.
Yeah, his number one redeeming quality is his competitive spirit and his action towards the football and his action to get into contact. That's what jumps off the charts the most. When you start recruiting a man like that, he starts off with is that he has legit track time. He's a track kid, so you look at it, he can really run, and then how competitive he is, and then how much he loves to be in contact. That's the part that just jumped out at us. And like I said, he's one of those guys that kind of throws his body around like he's got an extra one home in the closet or something. And boy, I tell you what, he is, and he competes. He's a highly intelligent kid. He has high football intelligence, and so we're really excited about him, and he's someone that should come in and factor for us right away.
We'll get to one of his teammates in just a second. Let's jump from Brooklyn over to Staten Island. Zaire Lacewell. I mean, this cat looks the part. Played for Gus Edwards' old high school, Tottenville. 6'3", 199. When you walk on the field right away, it's hard not to see how good he looks in a football uniform. What do you like about him?
You know, we started recruiting him right from the get-go when we got here 2 years ago. You know, obviously when he was very young. We've had a chance to have him on campus several times. Had a chance for him to go see him play live several times. Had a chance also to have him here for our 7-on-7 passing. So we've been around the young man a lot. His upside is off the charts. You know, obviously he plays defense, plays receiver, has a lot of different skills he can do. His skill set for us right now, what we need the most is someone on offense who can go up and get the ball and catch those 50-50 balls, which he can do. So he loves football. And again, he comes from a school that's been very good to us, with Gus transferring back here. Timmy Burrow was a young man that I had a chance to recruit from there last year. And you know, the thing that jumps out about them is when I drive from here to Tottenville, it's roughly 28 minutes or 30 minutes to get there, and so that's as close as you can get. So they're really close.
You must be going on good days, Coach, because you must know you must be taking a helicopter over there to get from Rutgers out to Staten Island. That's hard to do.
Yeah, usually it's somewhat earlier.
Different guys, though, right? You like the Staten Island coaches, right? They're different. They're
guys,
into it.
Coach Neville does an unbelievable job. He took over for Coach Munson, and those guys have just been such a plus for us as far as accepting us when we got here as a staff and how well they treat us, and they do a great job. And they've also been very no-nonsense with us. I mean, like that. They're like, are you interested? We want him. They've been they don't tell someone where to go, but I tell you what, they sure don't hurt us.
No doubt. And you know who's not going to hurt you either is Christian Eisen. Rutgers has had a great history of really good return guys. I don't want to tell you that he's going to be a return guy. Watching him this year for Erasmus Hall, that guy to me was built to play here and return kicks and punts. Christian Eisen, Erasmus Hall, little guy, blazing speed.
Yeah. You know, it jumps out. First of all, my favorite guy on the team, I've always told the team, is the punt returner. I said I think it's the most difficult position there is, to stand back there and catch a ball with your chin up in the air with 11 guys trying to come down and hit you. And there's also wind, distance, rain, all the things that come in with like that. He had a huge kickoff return that really got him back in the game, in the championship game in Yankee Stadium. I've seen him return a punt when I went and saw him live. But and give Coach Lamberg credit, through the process, he was really high on him. I had a chance to go see him live a couple times. When I came back from seeing him live in a game, I was blown away, because he went from making great tackles on defense, punt return for a touchdown, caught a screen for a huge play, had great blocks, so he's playing both sides of the ball, doing things. So we're really, really excited about him. Football IQ is off the charts, and very intelligent young man.
So you get a couple of days to relax, spend time with the family, and when do you get right back into it?
Yeah, like I said, as most people always tell you, recruiting never stops. There'll always be some times you're always during the day recruiting, but we're not on the road, and so that's always a little bit better like that, because you're on the road. It's a grind from to get to home visits at night, to do this stuff during the day and see all the schools. So there's a grind to it there. So that part of it slows down. But always hitting up with future and what we have to be able to get done, and keep building that for us right now. Like I said, we're doing a great job in the state here of New Jersey, and then obviously we want to keep doing a great job over in New York City, because we feel that's going to be a great hub for us.
Rutgers Nation, feel good. I see a lot of high school football games, and I see Coach Bush at a whole bunch of them when Rutgers isn't out playing.
Second down and 4. Here's Edwards. And Edwards breaks a tackle, and Edwards on the run. Gus Edwards down the sideline. Does he have the speed? He does. Touchdown.
Welcome back. Joined by Shane Burnham, defensive line coach here at Rutgers. And the first thing, nothing sounds better than a football coach with a drawl. Give me some of that, Coach.
Yeah, they told me you want some Southernese up here. I don't know. I'm not sure if I got to get off the top of my head, but you'll hear it. It'll come out. We just keep talking. It'll come out at some point.
I know you. We'll get to your recruit out of Brooklyn, but when you bring that accent into Brooklyn, do they understand you?
If I had a nickel for every time I've been asked, where are you from, I'd have a lot of nickels right now.
Can you say forget about it?
Forget about it. Hey,
not bad.
Hey, the good news, I know what a jug handle is now. I didn't know what a jug handle was before I moved up here, and it's been. I get a lot of comments though. I do a lot of where are you from? But yeah,
it's a great football voice. You're all over the place recruiting.
Yep, that's right.
Let's go to Upper Marlboro, Maryland first. Jamree Chroma.
Yep, old Jam. Excited about Jam. Jam's a kid. So much recruiting's done now off of junior tape, and a lot of kids, their recruitment's over before they get into their senior season. Jam was a guy we identified early last January. We liked his junior tape, didn't think there was enough junior tape to make a decision on just that tape alone. We asked Jam to come to camp. Really were impressed with the way he worked, the ability he had, and the way he worked at camp. So at that point, I think we knew this was a guy that we wanted to recruit heavily. Still wanted to see the football show up on the film as a senior. It did. I think he had something 25, 27 sacks, all met in a very competitive area to play football there in that DC area. Everything we hoped he would do on senior tape, that we thought he showed to us in camp, it came out on tape. And you know, Jam wants to be here. You know, he's wanted to be here for a long time. I think he adds length, athleticism to the room, which I don't think the previous staff did a great job recruiting length at the defensive end position. And I hate to throw that out there, but I don't. And I think that's something we've tried to address with T.Juan Mason and Mike Tverdoff last year, 6'4", 6'5". You know, Jam, you know, pushing 6'4", 240 pounds. So I think we've tried to change, you know, the body type and the athleticism we have at that position.
Well, we talked about Brooklyn before, and I was telling you, Coach, I've done this a long time, 30 years. I've never watched a Midwood High School football game in Brooklyn. You went into Brooklyn, got Matt Thomas, 6'4", 235, played for Coach Basile at Midwood High School, the Hornets. How did you find him, first of all?
You know, Bill Bush, give Bill Bush the credit. He's the area guy. He went in there and turned up that tape. And, you know, again, another guy we knew about fairly early in the eval process. He came for a spring practice. So we got a chance to get around him in person, get to know him a little bit, how he ticks. You know, don't know much about Brooklyn football. I know when I turned the tape on, I thought he was moving at a different rate of speed. He was physical. He, you know, as a tight end on a junior tape and senior tape, you know, there's a chance where he could maybe turn a 10-yard gain into a 15 or 20-yard gain. Matt's with the mindset, I'm going to put my shoulder down and try to run somebody over. Just loved the aggressive nature, the way he played the game. He's going to grow into a big guy and comes from an unbelievable family. I mean, when you talk about a programmed kid who's, you know, values his education, certainly knows what he's here for beyond football. That's what Matt Thomas is. So excited about everything Matt brings to the table.
You know, next year you'll bring back 18 of 22 starters.
Is that right? That's
on
good
a
to hear.
defense
That's good news.
that got a lot better in every game.
Yeah.
14 kids a year ago who signed got onto the field as true freshmen.
I think that's in this class that we're signing this year, that opportunity still exists. At D-line in particular, you know, in our first 2 years we lost 6 or 7, you know, seniors, going back to JPO, Darius Hamilton, Quanzel Lambert. This past year, Sebastian Joseph, you know, Kamoko, Darnell, Jimmy Hogan. We've lost some bodies the last several years because of that and because of the change in the type of defense we're playing versus the previous staff. It gives guys a chance to come in here and play early. You know, Mike Tverdoff and T.Juan Mason really thought there was a role for them, watching them in camp and the summer workouts as third down pass rushers this past season. As it was, both got hurt and couldn't compete for us. But a guy like Jam or Matt, I've told them if they come in here and they take advantage of this next 6 months leading into their summer school, if they want to play early, they got a chance to go and compete. We don't have a ton of established entrenched starters at the D-line. We do everywhere else. So it's going to be big. These young kids come in here and are able to contribute to us, along with the kids in the program who've got to continue to grow and develop for us. But it's exciting because there are opportunities up front.
I can see why this guy gets players, man. Great personality. Great to meet you, Coach.
Thanks
Have
for
a
having
great
me.
holiday season.
Same deal.
All right.
See who he turns to here as Johnson evacuates the backfield for 5 wide. Throws it off his heel as he's hit it. It's intercepted. Kai Hester. He's going to go. Touchdown, Scarlet Knights. 52-yard pick six.
All right, we continue to roll on. Coach Baker, cornerbacks coach, and down in South Jersey, Isaiah Pacheco. He's an interesting dude. Offensively, does runs, throws. He's got a little maybe, and I don't know if I should say this because it's unfair, maybe a little Mohamed Sanu. And you're the cornerbacks coach, and he played defense, but you ain't getting him, man. He's going to be on the offensive side of the ball.
No, with a guy like Isaiah, you know, how hard he runs the ball, how angry he runs the ball, especially in this conference, you need somebody like that. The greatest thing about him is really and truly his personality. I mean, he's just an infectious kid. He's going to really be able to sit there and come in, I think, with his personality and really rejuvenate that offense and be able to sit there, not only just the offense, but even, you know, New Jersey recruits. Here's a guy who stayed at Vineland, which, you know, I mean, wasn't necessarily a great program, but head coach Dan Russo and him and a couple other guys decided to sit there and stay, and then look where they are now. I mean, those guys made it to the playoffs, and so, you know, we expect them to come here and do the same thing. You know, we're in that same kind of rebuilding stage, and to be able to keep a guy like Pac home is going to be big for us because, like I said, he's a talented kid, he's an infectious kid, and he's one of our own, so we're excited to have him.
come up north a little bit. We'll stop at Paramus Catholic High School by way of Christ the King in Queens. Jared Paul, defensive back, 6'1", 197. Statistically, maybe didn't jump off the page this year for the Paladins, but what you see because of your schemes is an unbelievable upside for JP.
Well, yeah, when you recruit, I mean, a lot of times, whether it be because of how good he is in high school or, you know, I mean, the opponents that they play, they're not going to necessarily throw the ball a whole lot of the times. And, you know what I mean, so JP didn't necessarily get a lot of at-bats. But when you sit there and that's why the in-person evaluation is so key. We've had him here a bunch of times, had him in camp, was able to sit there and look at him, sit there and run around and kind of go through drills. And then we understand what we want to do and how the style of play that we want to be able to play, especially on the outside. And with his length and his size, he's just ideal for what it is that we want to be able to do. So we're excited to have him because of the simple fact that he has that length. He loves football. You know, the kid is out there with his dad, you know, on Saturdays, Sundays after games, still continue to go over technique. I mean, he's a perfectionist. And again, like the value that he's going to have for us is going to be in his work ethic. You know what I mean? The kid is a phenomenal worker, and then he just has all the tools physically that you want. So I can't wait to be able to get my hands on him and mold him as well.
The #1 corner in the state of Pennsylvania, he's not going to Penn State. He ain't going to Pitt. He's coming here to play for you. How'd you get Avery Young?
Well, Jafar did an unbelievable job being able to recruit him, but not just him. I mean, we recruited the entire family. The dad and I have a connection because of a guy that I worked for at my previous stop. He was actually his DB coach at the school that he went to, so you know we were able to talk some football about that. And he's another kid who spent a lot of time with us, came here as often as he possibly could from Coatesville. And we just started developing a relationship. And the more and more we got to talking and getting to know each other, he realized that he wanted to be able to do what it is that we were doing. His dad told me even in the state playoff game, just from being around, watching some of the drills and practice and things like that, he tried to use one of the techniques that we were sitting there talking about there. And it worked out for him. He was able to pick the ball off, but it was something that they weren't coaching back there at Coatesville. But like I said, he's another kid who is a very, very hard worker. Comes from a good pedigree. You know, his dad played a little while in the NFL for the Colts. So, you know, we're excited to have him because, again, he's another kid who has some length. He's physical, and he loves football.
The 3 kids we talked about, Coach Baker, any of them get on the field as a true freshman? You don't have to give me their names, but do you think they get on the field?
I think, well, here's the thing. We want all of them to come in with that mindset that, hey, I'm coming here to play. I'm coming here for the opportunity. And, you know, as long as they sit there and they approach the game the right way and they come in here and they're willing to work, that opportunity is available for them. We don't want anybody to come in and, you know what, Coach, I don't want to play right now. I want a red shirt. I want to sit there and take my time. No, we want to sit there and be able to breed a culture of competition. And to be able to do that, you got to recruit really, really talented guys, but you got to recruit guys who have the right mindset. And these 3 guys definitely have that. They're hard workers. Like I said, they love to compete. They love the game of football. And so as long as they keep that, which I believe that they will, I think they'll find a way to be able to get on the field, whether it be early or late, but they'll find the field one way or another.
Coach Baker, this cat's got enthusiasm. Feel good, Rutgers.
And this one from 50. Again, the career long is just 39, and they've only made 4 field goals this entire year and only 7 attempts. Snap and hold are good. I think he got it. He did. A new career long for the redshirt senior Andrew Hart. And Rutgers has scored the last 10. They're up by 3.
We roll on with Vince O'Crew, special teams coordinator, tight ends coach, and we'll get to the tight end in just a second. But there is a buzz around the state of New Jersey that one of their own is coming home. Arthur Sakowski, who went to IMG by way of Old Bridge High School, 3-year starter for Old Bridge, committed to Miami, came up here to watch you guys play. The buzz it created that he might decommit, you got one of the top-rated pro-style quarterbacks in America. How'd you swing it, Coach?
Well, I think it was a combination of things. One, he was here when the stadium was energized. Obviously, people were excited to see him in the stands. I think the other thing was he got away from home and found out that, it's not as cracked up as it's rumored to be. And I think he wanted to continue his career here, close to family and friends, and we're very fortunate that it happened that way.
6'5", 215. It's funny, when he started at Old Bridge, he started as like a option quarterback. So
right.
he has the ability to take hits. We watched him throw through the years in New Jersey. 6'5", 215, fits the college look already. He'll come to school early, correct?
Correct. Actually, he signed his letter this morning. He's on his way back right now.
Is he really?
Yeah, he told me, he said, Coach, I got my stuff packed up. I took my last final yesterday. He's on the next flight out.
How big is an advantage, I mean, for any kid, but for a quarterback to come in January, how much does that put? Huge.
Huge. I mean, you can't, you know, it's like people wonder why bowl games are so important. Yeah, it's a nice reward, but as coaches, it's the extra 15 days of practice. Mm-hmm. So for him to be here by the end of the week, to be right down the road, to be able to come over here and hang out, is a tremendous advantage for him. And like you said, you know, he started out as an option quarterback, developed into a pro-style thrower. Now he can do both. I was very impressed the 2 or 3 times I went down and watched him work out, his weight workout, his speed improvement workout, his individual quarterback sessions. I think we got us a real player in him.
Who sold his tight end, Jalen Jordan? You guys, or did Arthur? Could you put him in? Is he coming up in his car right now?
I hope so. If you could put a finder's fee on it, Art definitely deserves it. And, you know, it was another unique situation where he and Art had played together. Art mentioned, hey, you know, will you take a look at this guy? And we did, and we really liked what we saw. Now, we say tight end, and those guys that go in my room have the title of tight end, but you've seen Jerome Washington. He's not a tight end. He's all over the place. Mm-hmm. And we'll do the same thing with Jalen. Jalen can play outside. He can play in a slot. He can be the hybrid, like the fullback tight end that we move around. So he'll fill a lot of roles for us. And uniquely enough, he's got a lot of family in the Northeast, the Philadelphia area, the New York City area. Actually, when he was up here for his official visit, I probably met 3 or 4 of his aunts and uncles. So it's a homecoming of sorts for him. So it's a great situation.
Probably not a homecoming for your kicker since he's coming from Australia. We talked about him with Adam and a little bit off the top of the show. Adam Korsak from Melbourne, Australia. This guy sounds like an interesting dude.
He is. He is. You know, having had some experience with Australian punters in the past, you know, the game's evolved. The two-gunner, tight formation, kick it right down the middle of the field, that doesn't fly anymore. You're getting multiple formations. You're getting punters that can roll out. And, you know, the real secret is the longer you can hold the ball before you kick it, the longer your coverage has to get downfield. Now, what's neat about Adam is he can do both. He can, as the Aussies say, he can spiral punt it, which we consider the normal, the NFL punt, and he's a great rollout punter. When he rolls out and punts, well, let me put it this way. I wish I could stick my pitching wedge like he does. The ball hits and it just stops. So he's a tremendous talent. And, again, he'll be here early, so it'll be a great advantage for him to get to work in.
You're his special teams coach, so you'll be his position coach. You mentioned golf. I hear he's an unbelievable golfer. You would never challenge him over here at the Rutgers Football golf course, would you?
No, because all I asked him on his visit was, are you going to pack your clubs or are you going to buy some when you're here? So, no, he's a tremendous golfer. I think he's a 4 or 5 handicap.
You excited about the 3 guys we just talked about?
Oh, very excited. Very excited. You know, there's a natural progression when you're trying to rebuild a program. And obviously it starts with the players you recruit, the character they bring to the table, their competitiveness, and all 3 of these guys fit that bill.
Coach O'Crew, early Christmas present, just arrived on the banks of the Raritan.
Nebraska only rushed 3 there. Coach, in the pass, did he catch it? They said it was caught by Jerome Washington, the tight end. A circus catch by number 88.
Well, here's a final drive highlight right there. Look at that. Between his legs. Man.
Joined now by the wide receivers coach, Jafar Williams. And Coach, you got an interesting dude to work with in this Eddie Lewis out of Mater Dei. Now, I know he took a prep school last year at Milford Academy, but I'll tell you, man, I watched him a lot. And when Dino Mangiro, the Rutgers great, took the job at Mater Dei, this kid improved leaps and bounds every day, had that great play in the state championship game, the hook and ladder with no time. What excites you about Eddie?
Well, I think you hit it there. He's improved every single year. And then we had an opportunity to work with him in camp last year. And then obviously going away to school this year, I think you just see maturity. You see him really developing as a receiver, just a lot more explosive and more consistent than he was even in high school, which excites me because that productivity now comes to Rutgers.
It's got to be great getting a kid who played for a Rutgers great.
Yeah.
How much does Coach Mangiero help out the Rutgers program?
Oh, awesome. And not just coach, but you look at some of the guys that we've signed, and the coaches in this state have been awesome. And the more we can keep some of these talents in state is only going to help this program move to a national level.
A year ago up at Fordham University, I watched the Catholic League Championship,
Yeah.
Canisius and Cardinal Hayes. It was
I
an
was there,
unbelievable
yeah.
game. You were there.
Uh-huh.
Paul Woods was
Yeah.
running all over the field
No doubt.
up there in the Bronx that day out of Canisius High School, 6'1", 175 pounds, one of the really good receivers the last 2 years in the state of New York. What do you love about him?
Just great attitude, great athletic ability, unbelievable body control. That's one of the things that if you watch his film, you talk about guys with ball skills. He has unbelievable ball skills, big playability, which is also a plus. But the more we can bring guys in with size and speed, and guys that can be a threat down the field, we're going to be in good shape.
You talk about size. That's what you're getting out of Shawnee High School in Davon Robinson, 6'4", 215. Legendary program in the state of New Jersey. That's a big dude out there on the edge.
Yeah, he's a big get for us, to be honest, because we talk about bringing in long, big bodies to our program, and right now he's an athlete because we're going to figure out what's the best place to put him. But he can do so many things with the ball in his hand. He's played a little bit in the backfield. If you watch the film, he's played some receiver. So really excited about his future and his growth potential.
Were you at his championship game?
We had a coach there, but I was not
Smiling?
there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
115 yards, 2 touchdowns. They win the
Oh,
sectional
actually,
title.
I was at that. Yes,
you
I was.
were.
Mm-hmm.
So that puts a smile on your face.
Yeah, it does. Actually, the story. I was walking to get hot chocolate, and he scored his first touchdown. So I turned around and I saw him scoring a touchdown, which was awesome.
Oh, you did good.
Yeah.
And then you went and got another hot chocolate, and he scored another
No,
touchdown,
I didn't have
right?
enough money on me.
All right, Coach. Great job, buddy.
Thanks a lot.
Great to meet you. Merry
Appreciate
Christmas.
it. Thanks.
Make a pick to the top side and get Worship out in the flat.
There's Mahungu in motion. Blau on the roll. Blau.
Too late.
Back over the middle. Incomplete. Rutgers by a pair with 25 seconds to go.
Joined now by Coach Neiman, defensive coordinator and linebackers coach, and you're the DC, and while you have certain areas you have to recruit, you oversee everything that comes to your side of the ball. Before we get down to your guys, what you've seen so far with other kids that we've talked about, you like these defenders coming in?
I think we've got a really good class. We've got good balance. There's several guys in the D-line. Linebackers, we weren't taking a big number this year, but like the guys that we're talking to and are going to bring in. And then in the secondary, a few more numbers there, but really good quality. I think these are good kids from good families that are hard workers and will fit really well into our culture.
Coach, Rutgers has done a good job with Timber Creek down in South Jersey. There's a nice pipeline Coach Hinson's sending up here to Rutgers University. Deion Jennings, another one of those guys, 6'1", 197, defensive back. What do you like about him? Well, we had Deion in camp. Obviously, we've seen him, game tape and so forth. He's just a very dynamic and versatile player. He's played in the secondary. He certainly has the size to be able to get bigger, and I think he's a guy who could transition into the nickel/Sam type position that we have, which is true of a lot of 4-3 teams where that linebacker out to the wide side of the field could be a linebacker, could be a nickel, could be a drop-down safety. He has the skill set to be able to play in that type of role as well as do the things that he did in high school. 3 Big Ten wins this year, great improvement, and the most improvement came on the defensive side of the ball. A lot of freshmen played, true freshmen played last year. In what you see right now in your crystal ball, it's going to be harder for true freshmen to get on the field next year, won't it? And that's a good thing, isn't it? Well, I think in general, I agree with your comments. We always talk about it as a staff. When we go into the training camp, we'll wipe the slate clean and start from scratch, and guys will have to earn their spots whether they're tenured here in the program or not, because a lot of the new guys coming in are very talented kids, and we owe it to them to take them through the evaluation process and see if they're good enough to be in the 2 deep, much like the freshmen who came in this last class. So with 2 really good back-to-back classes,
you know, there's going to be really good competition, and that's going to make everybody better.
You happy?
Very happy.
Really? That's nice. Usually coaches aren't happy.
Oh, well, you know, if you're not happy on signing date, then you've done something wrong.
My man, way to go, Coach. Great job.
Yeah.
And change their perception. Last play was for a loss of a yard. This time it's Edwards catching it and scoring.
What an impressive drive.
So he's over 100 yards on the ground, and his first catch of the game goes for 23 yards and 6 points.
Little swing pass out of the backfield. He catches it, one move. Man, you're hanging.
We continue with Coach Erb, the running back coach, but you're going to talk about a quarterback, an interesting young man out of California, Jalen Chapman, 6'1", 180, Harbor City, Narbonne High School, two-time champion with insane. Now, statistics don't define the player, but his statistics are fun. In the last 2 years, over 8,000 yards passing and 81 touchdowns. Are you getting a steal in this kid?
Yeah, I really think we are. And the thing with Jalen is his infectious personality. And it's no surprise that Narbonne has won 2 state championships, you know, in the last 3 years. Because what Jalen really brings is, obviously he's a very good athlete. He can throw the ball. He's a guy that can run. But his personality is that of a leader. And one of the first things you notice when you go out there and watch Narbonne practice is how he just takes command of everything and how everybody on that team follows him. I mean, this guy's a tremendous leader.
Coach, how do you sell a kid from California coming from West Coast to East Coast? How'd you do that?
Well, you know, the great thing about Jalen is he wants to go make a difference in a program. You know, he went to Narbonne and obviously made a difference there. And really just, he's the type of kid that really wanted a little bit of a change of scenery. And when he came out here in the summer, he really kind of fell in love with the place.
You know, we talked about those insane passing numbers, but he runs it around a little bit too. Gives you a great dual threat option.
Yes, yeah, he's a guy that can do everything that we're going to ask him to do in this offense. Again, a tremendous leader, but he is a tremendous athlete.
Is he one of those guys who isn't blessed with the extra 3 or 4 inches where he's not 6'3", 6'4"? Does he use that to his advantage just to prove people wrong?
Yeah, I think so. You know, I think he's not your typical 6'4" quarterback, but he is a guy that can throw it and he can run. So I think he's always kind of used that as a motivation that, you know, maybe some other schools may have overlooked him.
Like in baseball, they say you can never have too many pitchers. You're bringing in 2 really good quarterbacks. It looks like, and again, recruiting's a crapshoot. You never know. But on paper and on film, looks like you have 2 really good quarterbacks coming in here.
Yeah, I think, and both those guys are going to be in here early. So they'll get started pretty early in our offense here in spring ball. And it'll be interesting to see how the competition shakes out.
Coach Lester Erb, running backs coach, breaking down the quarterbacks. Good job,
Thanks,
Coach.
Mike.
You got it.
Another opportunity for the freshman on 3rd down. Fake the jet sweep. And run it off tackle into the end zone. He skips in for the score. Jonathan Lewis continues to have an impact here in the first half.
Okay, you need a big guy with a big personality to coach big guys. A.J. Blazek, the offensive line coach. And, Coach, right away, I could see why guys want to play for you. You just bounce right up here onto the set. You love what you do, don't you?
I don't know if bounce is the best word to describe how I got up here, but it's probably true. Yeah, have fun with me. You got guys with personality, and you got guys that want to be coached. That's the biggest thing in this recruiting is finding guys that want to be great.
Everybody's going to go crazy about the runway models, the quarterbacks, the whole thing.
Sure.
They're nothing without your guys. When you go in to sell a recruit about coming here to play offensive line, what are you selling?
You know, I'm a guy that grew up in western Kansas, and, you know, it was tumbleweeds and dry, and it was always, you got the big city here. And for me, I didn't grow up next to the Statue of Liberty or, the George Washington Bridge or any of that stuff. I didn't have. So for me, I'm on vacation every day here. And so when you go out and talk to people, I think they can see how much that we really enjoy it here.
Raekwon O'Neal, big guy, 6'5", 270, Conway, South Carolina.
Yep.
How do you sell a kid from South Carolina about up here in the north?
You know, where we're raised from in Conway, it's about 20 minutes outside of Myrtle Beach. So he's in he's down there in a nice area, but you get to know him, his family. They're small town folks, a lot like I was. His mom is from up here in New York City, and so he's been through here. And the big thing is you get a chance to play in the Big Ten. You get a chance to come in and help build a program. And if you get the right kind of kids, he's a smart kid in the classroom. He's a great person off the field, very involved in different activities and clubs in his school. That kind of guy, that's what you build a program around.
He led the way for an offense that put up a lot of rushing yards this year.
Yeah, they had a very good football team. They fell just short of the state championship game, but had a great run.
Anytime Rutgers can get a kid out of Pennsylvania, that's a good thing. You're smiling right now. Matt Rosso from Pennsbury, 6'6", 270.
Big sucker. Yeah, he's a big guy, you know. And we found Matt this summer. Coach Williams got him to camp. Jafar recruits down in that Philly area. And it's unique. I recruit into Trenton here in Jersey, so we're right on that border. And it's a guy that you know, his folks, super people. They both go to that blue school across the border, and so it's fun going into their house, and they got a Christmas tree that they've had to put all this R's and reds, and you know, bring in some new furniture for the house.
So is it anytime you can get anybody, it's a big deal. But when you do get somebody out of the backyard from over there, as you say, in the blue, it's special. I tell you, and it's tough. It's tough to go farther away because those local kids have to either say no or not have an opportunity somewhere close. And it's no different than I have a part of my area is Western Ohio. Well, how do you sell a kid in Ohio to leave and fly over the rest of our conference? You got to find the right guys that, whether it's academic oriented, whether it's what their personal goals are going to fit coming to Rutgers. What's the perfect offensive lineman in your mindset? What makes a perfect offensive lineman? You know, and I think about it a lot, but it's up in our O-line room. It's in a specific order: smart, tough, and dependable. They got to be guys that think outside the box. They have a big picture. They're always asking questions. They're inquisitive. So that's the smart part. You got to be a 4.0 guy, but you got to like to learn. You got to be tough. At the end of the day, man, it's a big man's game. It is not made for those that look good, those that get off the bus big. You got to be a big, strong, physical guy. And then dependability, you got to show up every day. You got to have bumps, bruises. Old veteran coaches will tell you there's only one day a year you're healthy, and that's the first day. After that, it's you're in season. Well, I bet you the first day can't get here soon enough for you, Coach. Yeah, you know, we finished recruiting, and we're starting on the next year already. So, way to go, buddy. Hey, thanks a million. All right, Coach. Appreciate it, Mike. You got it.
He's a coach that preaches that everybody's very detailed in what they have to do.
We got to get 10 units strong today in your effort, in your execution, and your flat-out toughness.
He's very intense. He's very demanding. You know, when he asks for something, he wants it to be done.
Let's go, guys. Get the ball. Let's go. Have a great day, man. Protect each other. Let's get better today.
Coach Ash is definitely a fiery coach. You know, he just demands, you know, perfection, and not in an unrealistic way. He understands that there's going to be errors. You know, that's why we practice.
Get up. There you go. Good. Next guy. Here we go.
But, you know, when we go out there and play and take the practice field and take the game field, you know, he expects us to be sharp and mentally prepared.
Coach Ash is a very disciplined guy, you know, very strict, disciplined, old school type of coach. And he wants the best for his players, you know. He wants to see his players succeed, so he shows a lot of tough love. But it's all geared in the right direction.
He's a great leader, great head coach. He really cares about the players.
So happy for every one of you guys. Well, everybody played a role in this game, man.
He's a player's coach. You know, he texts me or calls me every once in a while and asks how I'm doing and checks in on me. Asks the players for input on our schedules, this and that. So I think he's a great coach and he's doing a great job.
How about those girls?
All right, here we go. This is what everybody's been waiting for. The Grand Poobah, Coach Chris Ash, third recruiting class in the books right now.
Already 3?
It's unbelievable.
Wow.
Comes and goes so quickly.
I don't count the first one.
Really?
Yeah, we didn't have much time. We didn't have much time today either, or for this period, but no. It's when you say 3, it's gone by fast. It
flies by, and you know, recruits are about wins. 3 wins this year in the Big Ten. How much did that excite this class that committed today?
A lot. It had a big impact on them. I think they understand our vision, our plan, but they also see the plan working because progress has been made. And anytime you can have success in this league,
it does sell to the recruits that there are a lot of positive things going on.
How listen, you're a Big Ten football coach. You're always going to have nerves. On a day like this, how nerve-wracking is it when you come into work?
Well, it's everything, because today it's the future of your program, and without players, you're not going to win games. You're not going to have success. So, you know, all the anticipation up until signing day, you know, you go out and you recruit, you build relationships, home visits, school visits, all that stuff, official visits. But the closer and closer you get to National Signing Day and basically the kickoff, the nerves are all over. Your thoughts are all over. Just waiting and waiting and waiting for those NLIs to come in. And thankfully we had a great day, but it is a nerve-wracking day because it's everything about your program.
Best of the three?
That remains to be seen until
Great
they
answer.
actually get on campus. Yep. We get a chance to coach them, develop them, and usually you know what your recruiting classes are like 2 or 3 years down the road.
I like the fact that 2 quarterbacks are in the class because they had the guts. Sometimes, well, if one's going, I'm not going to go. You have 2 coming into the same class, which I would think puts a big smile on your face.
It does, especially they're both mid-year players. That's really important for us. Right now, it's no secret, we have to get our quarterback position stabilized. Last spring, we went through spring ball with 1 scholarship quarterback on the roster. This year, we're going to have 4, so it's a big difference. So the fact that we've got 2 coming in, it expands our quarterback unit. The fact that they're coming in January, they've got all off-season spring practice to be here to develop and learn a system. It's very important for our future.
Coach, last year, 14 true freshmen got on the field for Rutgers.
Wow.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
When you look at this class, the good thing is you have reinforcements coming, but I would think you'd probably be like, you know what, if 14 don't get on the field, that might be a good thing.
Yeah, it's good and bad. And again, you never know how it's going to work out and who's going to play and who's going to do what until they get on campus. They get the helmet and pads on and you get a chance to go out and play football. You know, there's a lot of guys that are heavily recruited that maybe aren't ready to play or contribute right away. There's some guys that have not been heavily recruited. Raheem Blackshear wasn't heavily recruited. Raheem Blackshear last year was one of the best players that we brought into this program. And who's going to be the next guy like that, I don't know. So time will tell.
You know, it's such an inexact science because I think about recruiting day and when Ray Rice came here, the McCourty brothers, these weren't 4 or 5-star guys. Michael Burton was a walk-on.
Yeah.
It's an inexact science. For the people who are watching this, should they get caught up in the stars, the 3, the 4, the 5, or should they get caught up in what you guys believe of the young men you've recruited?
Well, hopefully a trust in our ability to evaluate and bring in players that fit our system and our culture. But I get it. You know, stars are a great conversation piece for fans and people alike, you know, around college football. We don't get caught up in those conversations. We have to get caught up in, are we bringing in players that help us get better, that we can develop, fit our culture, fit our beliefs, and then bring them in and develop it and move forward. But I get it. You know, it's a big deal for fans and media to talk about stars and star rankings, but a lot of those things are not made by football coaches. You know, they're made by other people that evaluate prospects, and we've got to trust our eye, our opinion, and how they fit in our systems.
Did you address, it's hard to address every need, but are you satisfied with a lot of the needs in this class?
Yeah, I am. 2 of our primary needs were really the skilled positions, especially on defense and some on offense. But we needed to get quarterbacks, we needed to get DBs in this class. We were able to do both. I feel really good about the DBs we're bringing in, the fact that we're bringing in 2 quarterbacks. We continue to bring in some more offensive skilled players, wide receivers, and tight ends, and Davon Robinson is an athlete that could be either wide out or tight end, depending on how he develops. We needed to get both of those positions really more secure and more depth added to it as we move forward.
In yesteryear, you'd have another 2 months to get ready for this whole thing.
Yeah.
And now you finished part 1 today.
Yeah.
Part 2 starts tomorrow as you build towards February, just to fill it out. It's got to be a great unknown, not just for you, but every Division I college coach in America, because this is so new. Do you like it, the early signing period?
Yeah, it's too early to tell whether I would like it or dislike it. It is a challenge. It's a completely different challenge than recruiting in the past. You finish the season. If you're like us, we didn't play in a championship game or an early bowl game. We've got 3 weeks to go out and do our work, build relationships, the home visits, bring people on campus.
And if you lose a guy, go find another guy to be able to sign on this day. Some teams had conference championships or left early for bowl games. They might have been reduced to 2 weeks. That is a difficult challenge to be able to fill a class in that amount of time, whereas you had a couple months to do it before. But on the flip side, nobody really knows what to expect after today. We signed today. Nobody's been through this before. Not really sure what January and February recruiting is going to look like yet. So we do have a couple of spots that we still have to go fill, which is exactly where we wanted to be as we started this process. So we're happy about that, but really don't know what it's going to look like yet.
All right, thanks, Coach. We will do this again in February. For all your latest football news about Rutgers, check out scarletknights.com and RVision. Take care, everybody.